Hey everybody, welcome back to Advanced Kayak Angler. Appreciate you listening. My weekend was not awesome. I've had such a great year; it's hard to complain. Um, but this weekend had the took off on Friday and practice for the AKAT, and at the same time it was the North Alabama Kayak Anglers and the Coleman Kayak Anglers event on Pickwick in Northwest Alabama. I really love that lake. I've spent a bunch of time up there this time of the year and really enjoy it. Beautiful place. This year there was an algae bloom. It hadn't rained, so there wasn't much current. Ended up not having a full limit, which in hindsight, I guess the two lessons that I've learned that if I can share them are current is king, especially on any river. I mean, I knew that, but sometimes you have to relearn a lesson. So that was a big one because a lot of the people that did well, they were up in the creeks where there was a little bit of moving water. And also, number two was because it was going to be tough because I probably had the winning fish jump and come off. He spit my wacky rig at me, which that almost never happens. I guess I barely had him skin hooked, but it was a big fish for sure. I mean, 21 and a half, 22, something like that. Really good fish. And so yeah, it just I should have went for limit fish earlier. I left my battery at the house, which making a checklist that'd be another lesson I could learn from this. But left the battery at the Airbnb house, so I had to go back and get it, then come back. So I ended up getting on the water 30 minutes after lines in. So obviously that hurt me. So my game plan of where I want to start with limit fish, I went to another one that was similar, but that didn't like more structured deal, just trying to find um, catch a few fish before I went. Uh, really looking for a largemouth and looking for the bigger fish. So yeah, it happens. Last tournament before that, just kind of a little bit off, and this one a little bit off. So I was close. I think I could have pulled out a pretty good limit and got up in the money in the event, but just didn't go my way. It's okay. Again, it's hard to complain after having such a good year. But I do want to say a couple of things about last week's episode. Got a lot of feedback, and first, I really appreciate that, whether it's positive or negative. There's no spot. I have a couple of four companies I work with, but there's no sponsors for the podcast. I do this for myself and for the listeners. If there's something you want to learn, some technique or anything you want to know more about, let me and Armando know, and we'll do our best to try to get that information or get a guest that can give us that information. Whatever it is, we're happy to do it. So last week I got some good feedback, a little bit that was negative, and that's good too because I am far from a great podcast host. So I appreciate y'all listening and putting up with me. But I would say a couple other things are the title. The title was clickbaity. Never done that before. It wasn't necessarily intentional to be that way. Kind of what we talked about was, paddlers being dead, that style of kayak fishing. So I get how some people could not want to click on it because they feel like going clickbaity. It's nothing I've ever done before, so no problem there. Won't happen again. Um, and the last one is whenever we talk about rules. Now I've got Tournament TD coming on himself, but whenever you talk about rules, from my perspective, even being a committee member on my local club and help run the trail, it's very easy for people to, you know, backseat quarterback or, backseat drive, whatever you want to say. It's easy to criticize people in a job that's so difficult. And whenever I talked to Armando and I both had different feelings on boundaries versus launches. If you didn't listen to the episode, you can go back and listen to it. But it's very easy whenever I don't see or Armando sees all the different thoughts and processes that went into why they had to make those decisions that they did. So I 100%, and I said this a lot during the episode, it's not to try to burn anything down or try to say you're doing it wrong. It's just a reflection of we haven't seen, as far as I know, we haven't seen any creek anglers win this year, and the rules have changed so much that they have to have motors that I understand that tournament directors have tried to do everything they can to try to make it as easy as possible for those creek guys, but it's had a negative effect on that style of fishing, which in some anglers' case is their whole game. So I'm not trying to rehash the whole episode, but it's very easy for me to criticize things whenever we have three excellent. If you have AJ, Steve, and Chad, they're all very good with the rules and they run very good trails that they put a lot of time and effort, energy into having this rule set. And especially whenever they make rules and then they have to live with them all season because you can't, it wouldn't, it wouldn't be good for the trail to make changes mid-season most of the time. So whenever they make these rules preseason, they have to live with them all season. So it's not that they don't want to change rules. It's maybe there was a little tweaking or a little bit better way to do it, and maybe we'll see that next year. But again, this wasn't in any way to try it. That episode, I stand by what I said, but it's not, there's no, it wasn't meant in a negative way. If anybody took it that way, it was meant as constructive. Here's what happened. Here's, here's some criticisms of it because there's criticisms with everything. I wasn't trying to burn anybody because all three of those guys I have a ton of respect for. I have respect for ANTD. So that's it. Just a few things I want to say. But this week we have Mr. Bragg Case. I'll go ahead and bring him on, and he's representing the Kayak Bass Team series. Appreciate you being on, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for your service as always. Appreciate you. The So tell people who, if you haven't been on the show before, tell people who you are, man, if they don't know.
Oh, Brad Case, kayak fisherman for about 10 years or so. KBF, Hobie some, bass, or bass just about all theirs. Fish a little bit everywhere else, all over. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll go and fish. Some salt or blackish water too. So just bass is not always it. I go try for some redfish tournaments here and there also. I
Okay.
just enjoy fishing and getting people out to fish. Other veterans, getting kids, people that don't know how or want to try, see what they can do. Even if it's an adult that wants to try a kayak, put them out there in it and see what they end up doing.
Yes, sir. And yeah, you live in Mississippi, right? Like
Yes,
central, kind of
I
central
live in
Mississippi.
just outside of Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, yeah. I'm from Mississippi myself. I live in Alabama now, but yeah,
I won't hold that against you.
yeah. Well, I'm
I
from
could
the
do, but
coast. The coast isn't really Mississippi, anyways. It's like its own thing, or at
yeah,
least we like to think it is. I don't.
you got your own area code. I meant your own zip code, area code. Yeah, 228.
Yeah, that's right. Uh, all right, so this week we're talking about Kayak Bass Team Series, and this is kind of came from the ashes of the KFL. Got the trophy right there. A series that, although it had a few warts, I really loved. We like the Coosa Kingfishers. We still have our chat. We talk every day. Like I've built really great relationships with these people that I think will last hopefully a lifetime. Guys I really like and really enjoyed it. I've never learned so much. I think now this season and last season, having fished the KFL for a couple of years, I really feel like I became a better angler because of it. Like 100%, no doubt. Um, Seeing kind of behind the scenes of really how people fish, it made a real big difference to me and what I learned. I think the way you can learn, it's so much quicker in a team environment than it is any other way. So I really enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to definitely have you on because I know you enjoyed it too and wanted to continue that. So how did this get started after KFL folded?
Well, KFL was going strong, and some people just didn't like how it was run. Some didn't that. And Greg was having enough problems with, not necessarily problems, he was having a lot of stuff come down on him at home with
Yeah,
a daughter fixing to get married, another one going into high school, trying to start a new business. And he just, all of a sudden, he just says, I don't have time for
yeah.
it. And
And he never took any money out of it, so it's not.
no, he never took any money. He put a
Yeah.
lot of money in it, a lot of time in it, and his wife let him do it. The daughters did, but they finally, when it came down to uh, this last year and everything happening and going so fast, they finally said, it'd be great if you're home a little bit more, Dad or husband or Greg, however they wanted to say it. And at first he didn't see it, and then he saw it. He really saw it, and it knocked him for a loop. That what he had been missing, even though he thought he wasn't missing a lot of it because he would travel and they would travel with him on some of the stuff and everything, but it really caught up to it. And I've
Yeah.
seen that happen in a lot of other people doing stuff in tournaments,
Oh yeah.
uh,
I've
and
dealt with it
everything else.
myself.
Where
Yeah.
so I can't fault him on any of that, and it's all. And after that happened, it kind of KFL fell apart because nobody really wanted to step up to the plate. And I just wanted to. We thought about just keeping our own Southwest group together and just going with that. The next thing I know, I get a phone call saying, "Well, would you be the president or the commissioner or whatever they want to call it of a new league?" I says, "I asked why." They said, "Well, the sponsors want you." I said, "Okay."
Great choice, by the way.
I still kind of wondering, but I said, "Well, there'll be some difference in it now, and we'll play it around, but the owners will run it, except when it comes down." I said, "Except part, they do run it. When we have questions, I'll throw it back up to them on that and go." But there's some areas that the president has. That's what they positioned me for. Uh, Authority on and all that. Making quick decisions, stuff of that effect. So it turns out right now we have 4 regions: a Eastern, a Northern, a Southwest, and a Southeast. We hope those regions change up the following year because I got, like you said, the coastals, they may come back. I hope, maybe not. I don't. It just depends.
Yeah.
But since we were so late getting started as the Kayak Bass Team series, you start running out of names trying to figure out stuff on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a good deal. The Southwest and the Southeast both have 4 teams. The North and East have 3 teams each.
And here I can go
So,
through it. I can go through a teams here. I had it I had it up.
but
Facebook.
while you're looking at it, the teams this year we gave the option to fish a home lake. Some people call it honey hole fishing or whatever. But out of the 6 matches we had, 2 of those matches will have to be everybody on the same lake. All that all that region on the same lake. So if you have Gunnersville, all 4 teams would have to be on Gunnersville for that one weekend.
Hmm.
Or Florida, let's say Seminole, all 4 teams have to be on Seminole. Where during other time periods, it would not have to be. You could have 4 of those 6, you could choose a lake. But even if you choose, it doesn't mean another team might not show up, which is fine. That's what it's out there for, to give everybody the flexibility to move around a little bit. So Nick and the Southeast and the East decided to go ahead and take that next step that we had planned for next year, where all your tournaments will be on at least 3 main lakes, or you could have all 6, however the owners wanted in that region. But everybody would attend on the same lake on the same day. All teams, all regions fish on the same day. So all 6 matches are on the same day for each region. And it works out pretty good that way. I mean, we're trying to get televised. We're working out the kinks now. We found a few lakes that do good catching fish on, but just doesn't do good for the filming and the recording of the stuff.
Yeah.
So we're having to move those around a little bit and still have fun doing it. And like you mentioned before, the camaraderie in the teams. And I got 2 guys that quit this past year, but they're still on the phone. I'm still talking to them. They're still working. They're working on the sidelines in essence. They may be back. They may not, but I don't hold it against them.
Yeah.
And sometimes we may have 3 fishing instead of 4. It's fun. This weekend proves that 2 people in several of the teams could hold it all against 4. So you never know what's going to go on. You never know who's going to catch 10 or 15 fish or even up to 20. The best 10 count, and it's good if he catches all the best 10.
Yeah.
But then sometimes your buddy over there or 1 or 2 of the other team members will catch the that fish that'll lock it down for you, that 20 plus fish. And a lot of times they do. So, and you learn a lot about fishermen too within your team, the people within it. And then instead of just going out fishing by yourself, you're trying to place 3 other guys if you're the captain and their strong points. You don't want to have 4 people fishing pads at strong on pads. You want to have one that can fish a creek, one
Yeah.
that can fish open water, humps and stuff, another one that's great at pitching trees, maybe that one and another one at pads. Just spread out your versatility there and get everybody working at their best strong points. And then if somebody finds one that the others aren't, maybe he can help teach them a little bit more about how to pitch the tree or how to work the ledge or the hump. It comes in pretty handy and we have fun. But we've already had 2 matches, each region against themselves, 4-4 and 3-3. So they get payouts for the winning team on that match. The winning team will get a payout. So it's not waiting till the end.
Oh, okay. That's good.
The final is also the winner from each region. Now, I got a point system set up 100, 75, 50, 25 right now. That'll
Yeah.
probably change next year depending on how many more teams come in. But based off of this point system, the winner, the team with the most wins moves forward to the championship. So we'll have 4 teams at the championship and fish that day or 2 days. We're still playing that around with the owners to see what they really want. And they'll all stay and fish and go from there. And it may be 1 day this year, next year it may go to 2. And then we may do eliminations and stuff like that and try to get more team members to participate. Where today I may have 4 from this 4 fishing today, and the next day I may have another new 4. Or I could have
That'd be cool.
2 and 2, 2 old
That
guys and 2 new guys.
that would really be great because I know like all my guys in the Kingfishers at the championship last year wanted to fish, and we had I think everybody except for one came out, so we had like 7 people there, and only 4 were able to fish. If more could fish in the championship, that'd be it's great because everybody wants to everybody wants the ball in the fourth quarter. It's you know
Yeah, I kind of see that. I just hate to be that kicker in the fourth quarter when I'm 2 points down and I got that field goal waiting in front of me.
yeah.
Of course, I know how bad I kick. I might get it above the center's head, and that's about it.
Well, here I'll say the teams here in the North region. You have the Arkansas Hogs, Natural State Eagles, and Midwest Bass Mob. They all came back. Southwest region, Oklahoma Outlaws, Ozark Heavy Hitters, Southwest Hurricanes, your team, and Alabama Hammers. Go Hammers.
Yes.
Southeast region, you got the Southern Slayers, Swamp Donkeys, Rod Slingers, and Hooligans. In the East region, you got Virginia Anglers, Norfolk Privateers, and Tar Heel Lunkers. So a lot of the teams stayed on from KFL.
And there's just probably just as many sitting on the sideline right now,
You just wait and see them. Yeah.
waiting to see how everything went. And I understand that. And part of it was it's like one of the other Carolina groups. They were all ready to go, ready to charge in. And several owners, several other players said, well, let's just wait. Let's give ourselves a break, relax, set everything up, get ready, since it's a short season in essence, because we had to jump through the hoops to get everything laid out between the time that KFL to KBTS started and going from there to see how we're going to do it. And see, I'm still trying to figure out how many games, how many matches for next year. Probably looking at 8. Trying to make sure we don't looking at the dates that's going to be available between the 3 major circuits there
It's tough.
with
Tough to
Bass,
fit them in.
OB, and KBL, and still playing the side of visiting with ICAST and a few of these other things out there that go on that can mess up a weekend. Then you
Yeah.
still have Mother's Day and Father's Day and Easter and stuff like that we still got to look at.
Yeah.
Then it may come back down to 6 matches instead of 8. It may be 7. And then if we get a bunch of teams and and we get get 2 or 3 more regions in and change some names around and get everything back set up, may have to go do a pre-match before the championship and see how that goes. It may be the North against the South. Well, what I'm getting at, North against South, it won't be that way, but it'll be all the North teams against
Sure.
themselves and all the Southern teams against themselves. So we get the final 2 teams or final 4 teams, something like that, depending on how many's in there. A lot of things to look at and how we're going to try to break it down.
So this year, how are the points awarded each week?
Well, we're not doing by amounts caught. So it's like I stated, 100 points for the win. Second place was 75. Third was 50, and then 25.
Oh,
So
so everybody, so even if they're on different lakes, or is it just total inches?
it's total inches to get the win, or you
Okay.
win. Like we do in the top 10 fish. This year, right now, the only 2 that's still doing mixed lakes is the Southwest and the North. And North has already got, I think they're only doing 3. They're still doing 3 that everybody attends, but they have to do 2. We have Broken Bow as one of ours that everybody has to attend, and Millwood would be the other one. So that was all set up before we broke out and had a North and a Southwest on this side, because we had 7 teams, and one of the northern teams wanted to come be the 7th, and it was just a little much and a little bit of travel. So 2 of our Arkansas teams decided they'll play and work with the North team and just become the North side at that time.
Gotcha.
So the teams can change around next year on what division they're in or region, however you want to call it. And we're calling it regions right now to be a little different, because if we get these other teams in, we're trying to keep 4 at a minimum and maybe go up to 6 for each region and see how that lays out. If we have a lot more, we may go to 8, but we're trying to keep it between 4 and 6 and work from there.
So what's the
Go
what's
ahead.
what was it? I'm sorry. What was the entry fee for each team this year, and what do you expect it to be next year? I guess.
Even if we did 1,200 this year, 600 of that goes to the 6 matches, 100 each from the team. So let's say the Southwest had 4 teams, so that was $400 right there goes to the champion, to their weekend of 6 matches, $600, so $100 per match. In essence, how it goes down.
Okay.
The other 2 regions that has 3, it's only 300. So that you get more in with more teams, and that's the only difference there. The other 600 goes toward the championship.
So if each week each team can win $100.
Each week a team can win 400 or 300, depending on which region you're in.
So how's a team? So each week, each region. So
or each match.
Yeah. So let's say you had Oklahoma, Ozark, Hurricanes, and Hammers. All 4 played. Uh, Outlaws got 175 points. Ozark got 125. Hurricanes and Hammers both got 100. So the Outlaws won $400.
They won $400, yes.
And the other 3 didn't. So it's every week you're going against everybody in your division, not just the team you're going against.
No, you're going against. Yeah, that's correct. You're going against 3 other teams in your region.
Oh, okay. So okay, so I see what you're saying would be you have to have the same lake at least twice a year. So other ones, for choosing a lake, can it be the same lake every time, or can it be a different one?
That's going to be up to the region and those captains within that region, or the owners.
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to tell anybody what lakes they need to be on and what not. I made a stipulation today, like one of the ones that we were on had no cell service. We had decent cell service in practice 2 months ago, a month ago, when I went around and checked a lot of cell service. This one did not have any. We lost complete nothing. I don't know if my tower was down or not. So we're going to have to try another lake. So this is a year of trial and error. We're finding out problems. We're getting them fixed. We're trying to get stuff videoed on air and all that. But in this, at least you're not fishing just for points. being out of, even if you're fishing against 4 teams, just like I chose Toledo Bend, and we had some of the Oklahoma guys show up at Toledo Bend to fish. Okay, no problem. If like one of the other Arkansas has a group, a place to fish, some of the other guys might show up there to fish. We already put it out where we're fishing. Other than now that we have to change a little bit to get some more of our video and the service in. It's not because we can catch fish that we need to fish late. We need to be able to catch fish and video. And that was one of the things KFL was having a little problem with too.
Yeah.
It was one or the other, and I'm trying to get it to where it's both. So this year is a practice year. We're trying to get all these kinks out and work that out down to the final bit. I know right now we're looking at Gunnersville being a championship lake, and I know there's pretty decent service there.
Yeah.
So
what?
Should be able to get all that on there.
So it really benefits a team. I mean, you want to be on a good lake every time because you're competing by inches against everybody in your division. So if you don't want to go to a crap lake because then your team's the best you could do would be, I guess if you have 4 teams, yeah,
Well,
you wouldn't do as well.
We've been in within 10 inches. We were in an inch and a half, 2 inches the first match, less than 10 inches this match. And that's how a lot of the teams are doing. All 4 teams were within 10 inches of each other, which is just 2 fish. If you look at it, really 2 fish that could be upgraded. A 12-inch fish upgraded to an 18 or 20 can make a lot of difference and catch a lot of room. So that's how it comes down to. And it makes you feel bad when it's just like the field goal, that 1 point makes, it's a winning team and a losing team. That's just how it is. And it's like one of the guys said, well, how'd you feel about missing the fish? I said, well, I could have said it was like an interception or a fumble, but it wasn't. I said, it's more like a incomplete pass. The guy had it in his hands and tripped and lost the ball, or the quarterback threw it too hard, hit him in the chest, and it bounced out of his hands. That's just how I felt about it when I was reaching for a bass and reached down for the lip and touched the lip, and the hook comes out and the bass slides right back in the water before I could close my hand. Or in your mind's telling me you should have used the net. So the next fish you use the net on, you bump the fish with a net and knock the hook out of his mouth. So you're up there, maybe I should have used my hand. You never know. It's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. So who's kind of in your mind, you can't pick your own team. Who do you think's kind of the teams to beat this year? Are there any standouts so far?
We all have our standout within our regions, and it's moving back and forth. Nobody's won anything twice yet. So, and it's only the second match is just done that we just finished up with.
Yeah.
So we still got one more home match, as we call it, and then the last one will be a home match for most everybody. But our 2 middle ones for us is, like I said, for the Southwest would be Broken Bow and Millwood. Now we get to throw one of those matches out, so we use our best 5 for points.
Where's Millwood?
It's in Southwest Arkansas.
Oh, okay. Never heard of it.
I know, that's good. I fished it before, so I know kind of what it's like. It's a lot of pads, and it can put Florida. It's hard but it's one thing for Arkansas. It can put Florida to shame for the gators there. You would never think Arkansas would have a lake full of gators, but that one is. It is
hard pass.
full of them.
I do not like fishing in a boat. Like fishing bayous and everything else. Never had a problem in a boat. I don't like them in a damn kayak. I don't like being around gators in a kayak. You can call me whatever. I don't care. I don't like it.
Well, this lake has a few creeks coming into it. You got open water down south. You got pads up north, some flats. It has a good arrangement of everything, which is great for it.
Yeah,
and it's usually unheard of, but it can produce a lot of good fish. So
cool. So is there? I guess one question I have is, having been in the KFL for a couple years, it seemed like some of the owners were, to me, were the problem. And that it was hard for Greg and the league to have leverage over the teams, to if they were getting out of line, to have leverage over them to make them get back in line, I guess. I don't know how to say that.
Well, I think the thing that has changed this is when the owners, now you're being judged by your peers. It's not being judged by me. One of the rules is when you're filming or being on film, video, however you want to say it. I'm old school. I say filming, being videoed. You got to watch your language. You got to watch what you say, what you do, how you do it. We had a few bleepers this past weekend, and it was brought to the attention. It wasn't on, but so the owner has to talk to the fisherman. Watch the language. It's like the owners. I'm up to give them a warning one time. Penalty the next time would be a penalty that the other owners would agree to, if the instance says it, to where he has to step back for a match or two matches, depending on what they say his peers state. Not me, but his peers.
In his division or in the whole league?
The whole league right now.
Okay.
Well, we only have 14, so getting a 10 to 12 or 10 people, 10 owners out of 14 up to make a decision, it's not too bad. Or 12. Most of the time we'll get 12 on. And the only reason we can't get 14 is usually in the night, one or two of them are still working and can't get off.
Yeah.
So it's not because they don't want to be on, they just can't get there. But they already know about it. They have already voiced kind of their decision prior to. We just don't come to a meeting blind on something like that. I haven't had any problems with owners. I don't see any problems with any of the other owners. Sometimes we get picky with each other, but that's only on our Facebook page. And out there, it's working pretty good.
In the chat, not in public.
Not in the chat, but in the public side, it's working very well. We pick with each other. We enjoy it. And the owners are running it. I'm just like I said, make some of the final decisions here and there. But if it's a major one, I'll bring it back up to the owners afterwards. One of the key things that I brought up before as I was coming in, no matter how we might want it, there will be no rule changes in mid-season. Once we started the matches, that was the stop of the rules.
I like it.
All the way through to the end. And whether we like the part of it or not, but once the end's over, the end of the year, the championship's over, when it comes back up, we can review rules, make changes as needed, put it out to everybody, start for next year, and do the same thing.
So are there some rules that changed this year that weren't the same in the KFL?
There's a few little changes here and there, but it was mainly due to the type with how we kind of changed up our regions and fishing and stuff of that effect.
So just structural stuff, not like actual fishing rules.
Because most of the fishing rules were all laid in. I mean, we kept some of them simple. Was like say life vest, meet Coast Guard, local or state and local regulations. We want you to have a vest on. Reason being, you're being filmed or videoed, so that way it's seen. Practice, okay, if you got to practice and you're wearing a belt, fine. But during the videos, during the shoot, during the competition, we recommend having and suggest you do have a vest on, because you can get called out for not having something on. And it makes sense having a vest. Everybody sees it. You're good.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't look like you're trying to hide something.
Yeah, for sure.
Hand placement, stuff like that, we kept it simple. Lights, meet Coast Guard local and state regulations. And we realized we just had a special night talking about the lights, where a kayak with no motor can just have a 360 light, two other different types. Where one with motor, they say a 360 light, and you're red and green, but also have a flashlight to try to warn off a boat. Because too many of us have had, and I talked with the guy that helped write all this on the Coast Guard side. He said he noticed that afterwards, that if you're out there in a kayak and you have a light on, they think it's a dock light and they'll come to you. A boat will come to you at night. because he's looking for that dock light that he thinks is his, and that's where he's coming because it's near that area, and that he's coming straight to you until you flash this light. Don't try to blind him, but move a flashlight around to where he realizes maybe that's not somebody on the dock flashing a light.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I've been almost run over twice doing fishing at night because of that.
Hmm.
But I kept that flash. I had a spotlight, not just a flashlight. I'm a full floodlight I could cut on and light up the water. So that really gets them to change their attitude. Because it's like the old saying, with the shot across the bow first, and if he keeps coming in, then you shine the light into him. And he'll realize then that something's not right. You got to stop.
Hmm. So what? I guess if somebody is interested and they're thinking about starting a team for next year, what's the whole process? What would they need to do? Who would they contact? And kind of what are your tips for building a team?
The teams are pretty easy to build. You want a variety in your fishermen, your kayakers, because that helps you out. I mean, I can say Southwest may be hurting a little, not Southwest, but Southwest Hurricanes instead of Louisiana Hurricanes now, can be hurting a little bit because I'm still 2 guys short. We can go up to 8. And I have a lot of local tournaments that turns out to be the same days as
Mm,
my matches. So these guys want to fish the local and not the match. And I
yeah.
can't blame them. But so I got to figure something better out. So that's something to look at. With us trying to make sure the dates don't overlap, Hobie or Bass or KBL, something on those three or any others that might come up, All American, depending on where we're at, is to that eliminates them wanting to travel for that and still not and make a decision whether you want to fish a team tournament or an individual tournament. In that, so you're making your choice of your team. We're probably going to keep it at 1,200, which is not a bad buy-in considering right now 600 of that goes toward the monthly, breaks down for the 6 matches or the 8 matches. It breaks down to 8 matches. I have to figure out the math on that part, but and then what we come up with. But then I still got to figure out if we're going to do one team payoff, or break down to the 4 teams that make it, break it down to how that comes out for the championship. Some talked about one big pot, some talk about first and second. You got to have something there, but you don't want to. I'd like to see something a little bit broken down for each one that makes it.
Yeah.
But each team that makes it anyway has already won 1 or 2, possibly 3. So they've already won 400 3 times, 300 3 times, whatever at least, to be there in that top level and to make it. So, and figuring out biggest thing is also besides that, getting your team members there is finding some sponsors to help pay for your travel, help you on your travel,
Oh yeah.
or sponsors to help pay the $1,200. I know the Hammers got that pretty well covered.
I think one of the things that I thought could have been done or better with the KFL is kind of if everybody, like, let's say everybody put in, because it's a group, if all the team, even if not the league, because the league doesn't really have any money, if all the teams got together and put in $100 or whatever, and they made a big, nice, like you went to Sam Jones, he does a great media decks for anglers, and he could do that for a team. And if everybody got together, you can just kind of, if 3 or 4 pages or a couple of pages of it were KFL, I mean, sorry, Kayak Bass Team series, and then another page was just a team, then it would be easy for him to do because you're only changing things on one page. It would be easier to get sponsors. It felt like the KFL stuff was really lacking, that the materials, they were giving me some numbers, but it wasn't like something nice I could go to a sponsor and say, here, check this out, help me. Because if everybody's getting more money, if all the teams are able to bring in money, I think that's better for the whole league. So maybe
Or I mean, part of it I could say my hurricanes was one of the bad ones on that. Not getting the videos up for each other, pictures of each other, trying to get all that done because we're so far apart. It's
Yeah.
not like like I say the Hammers are probably within 50 miles of each other. Oklahoma is about as bad as we are. You got Texas and Oklahoma. I think one guy in Missouri. And so they've got probably a 200-mile stretch. I'm looking at almost a 300-mile circle for my guys
Wow.
around. I got four from Mississippi, two from Texas, and two from Louisiana right now. Now, three from Louisiana, one from Texas. I did have three from Texas. So that's how we're laid out. And then next year, I don't know what'll be the difference. It could change up a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you get them in closer, it makes a lot of difference on how much easier it is to get. Even though everything can be done on internet and email, it's still getting that team camaraderie. I can go over and help him film tonight.
Yeah.
Well, my nearest guy is 3 hours away. The next other two guys are maybe 3 hours away. So it's not that easy for us to run and help the other guy film some of his stuff so we can get it up there, or him to have somebody to help film. And like you said, get the sponsors in. That's one of those you're good if you don't. You're trying to say it right without saying it bad, but you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. As the saying goes. I need a sponsor to help make sure I get my video stuff. I need my video stuff to help make sure I get my sponsor.
Yeah.
And I see that, and we saw that, and it was just hard. I know it was hard for us as a Hurricanes to get that stuff up. And I know it was hard for a couple of others to get it up because we didn't have the sponsors that support that part when we were trying to get just enough. We had just enough to support our buy-in and then for our trips. And I was still having to get money to help pay for a lot of the billeting where we were staying the nights. And right now, I got one of the sponsors that's for us on the Hurricanes helping pay for that. I mean, all the travel is still on us, but some of the others get the travel taken care of. But that's as the teams. That's up to the teams and how they get their stuff done.
Yeah. I can definitely say from experience, it's easy. It's much easier to get people on the team and things like that if you've got sponsors, and even if you built it out. Like if I go to a great angler and say, you don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for your house. You don't have to pay for entry fees. You just show up. We win. You win money at the end of the year. If we make it to a championship, you can win a lot more money. Like it's a great way to recruit people. And I think being a team for multiple years, or even maybe it's even bringing in your own personal sponsors into the team environment, and you get that ball rolling, it definitely it helps a lot for sure.
It helps. It hurts when you see, like I said, you see yourself losing within less than 10 inches, and you lost two fish that could have put you there.
Mm,
Me personally, I know I lost two, but that's part of the game. It's like, well, we had that touchdown in his hands, and he dropped the ball right there before he could get it tied down, and nobody was around it. He could have run that extra 10 yards in and got that touchdown,
there's
or nobody was guarding for that 3-point shot that we needed. That's just how it all comes down to. You know,
if you've never done the team thing as a kayak angler, whenever you do poorly as a a team member versus, like, if you have a bad tournament, you'll kick yourself, you'll feel bad or whatever. If you suck in a tournament within a team environment, oh man, it feels so bad. It's a much different feeling. And whenever you do good, like you have your team members rooting you on. I mean, it
I
man,
didn't I didn't do too great. I got caught three fish on the first match. Two of them were,
three's good though.
and one of our other guys. But I had figured I wasn't going to be the anchor guy, or what I call the anchor guy.
The limit guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the limit guy. And I knew he was going to do pretty well. He was fishing a point coming off, and it was a clay bank point. We already knew fish were there. Well, he caught like 9 there. And I wasn't expecting to be the anchor guy this past weekend, but I figured I could if I knew what I had already found. And it turned out I was. And the other guys were trying to fish and come in behind me or beside me and try to fish the same way. I don't know the difference, what was causing it. But we all made mistakes. One had an 18-inch, had his fins out of his Hobie, and the next thing you know, the 18-incher goes right between his feet, right down the fin hole.
Oh man.
So things happen,
Yeah.
and that's just how it goes. Like I
Yeah.
said, that passed right through the slippery hands of the fingers. But we know we're that close. It's not like being 80 inches in a 180-inch game.
Yeah.
There you start really doubting yourself. What went wrong as a team? What was all this? But if you're 10 inches behind, you can see what went wrong. It's second guessing again. It's not necessarily all second guessing as you would have been if you had the 80 inches to 180, because then you're up there like, well, if we went here, here, and here, we could have done this. Sometimes I wish I was three, that I could put myself at the same time, same lake, but three different locations, and see what Brad could have done over this point, this flat, or this hump or creek. At the same time, we all start as me. My mentality to fish it and see what happens with those three locations or four locations. But I'm not cloned. So where Brad a fish, David a fish, John a fish, Kyle a fish, anybody, that's what we got to do. We got to find your strong points and go from that.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, see anywhere from 10 points and up, you know you're in the ballpark. That's that's two fish. And I caught a fish right there when went in. I did good. I had 4 seconds left. No, I take it back. 6 seconds left when I looked at the picture after it was taken to know that's how much it was. 54 seconds. And then 6 seconds left, that fish would not have been able to be entered. If
Wow.
he had flopped one time, that would have been it. And one of the other guys on the other team caught one right there, and it flopped. So when he took his picture, finally got it, it was already past it.
Ah.
So, and he said I couldn't count it. And we know as fishermen out here, we try not to push. We already know it's 1 minute over. I can't count that fish. So why submit it? It's all fun and games. We're enjoying the match. We're seeing who can compete. Sometimes we don't know which teams won till the final, because we're in positions of catching fish and trying not to post. But it's seen on the video as it's coming in that, well, we know Brad's caught 5 fish and 2 of them look pretty good.
Yeah.
The other 2 probably about 16. So they're keeping up with the running score, kind of like they do on the FLW or MLL out there,
Yeah.
and seeing how that goes. And then, but we just don't have down there that final marking yet showing until we post that fish up. And we'll see a few times as a judge where 1 or 2 will lose a 1/4 inch, excuse me, or 1 or 2 will gain a 1/4 inch. The first match we lost 1 fish. This match I did a double. I had a double up, but it didn't affect the score on any of us. None of the scores have been affected yet by the add or subtract of a 1/4 or a loss or gain of a fish. Luckily, because there's always one to replace it within an inch or 2. And I think it's pretty good. I think we're doing very well. We just take our time, keep moving forward, and each try to build on it. We're going to have a whole lot more to build after September is over with. When we have our final match, we all sit down and talk about what we need to do, being sure everybody's out there, how we're going to do it, keep moving forward. And that's what it's just going to take.
That's right. So where can people find more information about the series? Just on Facebook?
We have the Facebook. There is an internet page set up for KFL. I know they're still building it, working on it. I say KFL, so you got me saying it now.
Yeah, my bad. My bad.
KBT series is listed up there. I have to go back and find how it's listed straight up.
Here, I can
But
find it.
and so let's see, kayak. Helps if I spell it right. I didn't spell right. There we go. Make sure it's the right page. There's so many out there.
Yeah, it's Kayak Bass Team Series.com.
Yes, that's it.
Yep. You
Yep, we
got
got a picture of Robert up there on the front with a
Yeah,
big bass,
that's scary. Oh, okay.
and it goes rolling through a few of them, but it only shows like the chest down, half the fish until we see one of the guys there.
Hmm.
Uh,
How about Matt? Matt caught a with the Slayers. Was that during a tournament last weekend where
no,
he
this
caught that
past weekend.
the 10 something?
No, that wasn't during the tournament. That was forgot what he
Oh,
was doing on that one. So that might have been one. No, it wasn't one of our tournaments. It could have been one of his local tournaments or whatever.
gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, man, I appreciate it. Is there anything else I'm missing? Tell me what I missed.
No, well, we're classified as a 401k,
Okay.
so all the money paid in has to go out. I'm not making any money, so wish I could, but that's part of how we got it worded. But I just want to make sure it progresses.
Yeah.
The money comes in, it goes out. Any money comes in through our sponsorship will be helping for our meals and stuff at the championship and all that side of the house. And the 600 that's left over for each team will go into that championship pot. So it's going to be a pretty good pot. Breaks down. Keeping up with it. I think the only thing that comes out the most is I'm just glad I thought about that. I mean, it's like I got one payment left to make for this past match. That's Turney X, and he gets what he needs, no problem, because he's worked a lot to make sure we get this matches set up on his system, and it's
Oh,
working
you're
great
you're
so
you're
far
doing them on Tourney X?
on Turney X.
Heck yeah, much better.
Much better. I mean, we have the first one we had a little downtime in one of the spots, but I realized I didn't even call him. I just waited. Somebody said, "What are you waiting?" I said, "It's down." Why don't you call? I says, "We don't have to worry about us. I can guarantee you, well, somebody else has already called him." And it was one of his biggest weekends without having a major tournament on.
Mm,
It turned out that the system went overloaded finally,
wow.
and that was without a bass or a Hobie, but between all the states
The little
and
ones, huh?
our team match, it overloaded the system.
Wow.
And he said he never would have thought it would have been an off weekend. That's what he said. And then the other parts, PayPal taking their part out is all of them. I think it's like 3%,
Yeah.
and or 0.3%.
PayPal, sitting back getting paid for nothing.
Yeah, but it's a great avenue for moving money around
Oh yeah,
quickly and all. So it covers that.
that's right. Till somebody figures out something better. That's kind of it right
That's
now.
it. I mean, I don't have to touch the money. I just got to keep up with it. The PayPal's keeping up with it pretty well. What's done, and we're going from there.
There you go.
The
All
good
right.
part
Well,
is, I have to say, the good part is, I hate to say it, I hadn't been a one of the winning teams yet, so I hadn't had to figure out where I'm going to do my winning money yet.
you'll get there. It'll
We'll
happen.
get there. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Brad. I appreciate you. Oh, what's that?
The dog it just brought me the ball to throw it.
Oh. Well, I appreciate it, Brad. Thank y'all for listening. Go check out Kayak Bass Team Series.
Cherries.
Yeah, KBTS. Um, yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you being on, and maybe we'll jump in because I'll tell you what, I sure did love the team format. It was a lot of fun, and
Well,
it's the most fun I've ever had fishing. I mean, it just is. So you know, yeah.
it is. I think it is. It's fun getting around and talking with people and then getting on people for using 10-pound 10-pound leader or 14-pound leader in pads, and you're going like, that's not what you're supposed to use
Yeah.
because they're so used to using open water and fishing out there off the humps, and they're trying to learn something new, and they see, and it's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you're out, and I've said this so many times, like whenever you're out there and you see how somebody else is on your team is breaking down the same body of water with different baits at the same exact time, and they do differently than what you do, but seeing how they chose what area they went to go fish and why they fished it, and what knowledge they brought to, like, why are they fishing that, and then how they do better, you do better, and then you tell them about why you did this. It's an insight that you can't get it on YouTube. You can't get it with your friends because your friends aren't always giving you 100% information, even if you're close. Like, you're not giving, you're not on the same, you're not breaking it down like that. Whenever you're on a team and your team's really open and you're really talking about it, which makes a good team, man, there's no way to learn quicker. It just, if you enjoy learning fishing, getting on a team with some other good, competitive, serious anglers, there's nothing else like it.
I'll leave you with one story I had, and I've told a bunch of people this, but I don't know. I know you probably hadn't heard it, but a lot now will hear it on this. A buddy and I were fishing, 12-foot aluminum boat, just the way I like to fish, up in the cypress, the poplar trees. I'm using a black buzz bait. I've already caught about 5 or 6 bass, averaging about 2 pounds apiece in about 30 minutes. He hadn't had a hit. He makes a cast and he backlashes. He's already getting frustrated. I said, well, here, take my rod and reel and cat. And the boat has already anchored in amongst some trees, so we're not moving. I said, just keep working these trees right here to our front. And so for about 5 minutes, he's working those trees. Same rod and reel, my bait. And I'm over there picking his backlash out, or as I have, a professional overrun, but I'm just going to call his a backlash. And I get it all out, flip it out there. I reel up his. He has a black buzz bait on. Reel it up, get his reel, line all tight again, got it, and hand him back his rod and reel. I take mine. He hadn't caught a darn thing. I make a cast where he'd been casting, start reeling, and bam, I catch another one. 2 more casts, I had another one in. He said it was time to go to the house. But same rod and reel, same bait, 2 different guys, and he couldn't do it, but I was catching fish with it. So you can't say it was a different rod and reel when I handed him my rod and reel. The bait had already pulled in about 4 to 5 bass, and he spends 5 minutes there casting. And that's a lot of casting, 5 minutes. And I take it in 3 casts, pulled 2 bass in, and he was doing about the same speed of the retrieve. I couldn't see any difference, but just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So you never know. He wasn't holding his mouth right, or didn't have his finger right in the right place, or something.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Speed, or who knows,
It could. The old term, it was the angle of the dangle.
That's right.
Just the way I was angling that bait coming across there, referencing his angle, that makes a lot. Sometimes that makes a difference. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
So glad you had me on.
Yeah. Thanks,
Hope
Brad.
that helps a lot of people understand what we got going and how it's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Go online, check them out, and maybe fish next year. Put you a team together and go compete. It's a good time. So we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, man.